Good late evening to you. It is Saturday, January 3rd at 10:07 p.m. Your Purdue Boilermakers are closing out Wisconsin as I speak. CJ Cox was just fouled with no whistle. 50 seconds left. Purdue is up 16 points from the Kohl Center. After it looked like they were going to absolutely cruise to a victory, they got really sloppy and lazy and carefree with the ball and stopped rebounding and gave Wisconsin 4 looks on one possession and just gave all sorts of, I hate that. I hate the way they finished the game. I didn't love the way they started the game, but I'm going to talk about the details here in a moment. Before I do it, let me thank the good folks at Homefield Apparel. Head over to homefieldapparel.com. Purdue is about to close this one out. Grab a sweet sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a hat, some retro gear, maybe that big block sweater, that knit sweater I like so much. Homefieldapparel.com. Really, really cool stuff. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's official. Purdue improves to 13-1 on the season and has beaten Wisconsin by 16 points from the Kohl Center, a place that Matt Painter has been comfortable for a long time. Let's see. I want to make sure. Yeah, it's 13-1. I believe. I've got no improvement on the graphics on the television. But yeah, also, when you're at Mackey Arena and Purdue has just cruised a little bit, what do you like to do? Well, you can skip, you can jog, you can walk briskly. You take that 5 to 7 minute trip to the fire station and then turn left at the fire station, head in there, grab yourself a pint if it's on game day. At the bottom of your pint, you'll have a reward. It's like a grown-up toy in a cereal in a kid's cereal box. Get a Boiled Sports magnet. Sure. Pretty nice way to finish out a beverage. AJ's, that's where it is. Burgers, beef, beer, great staff. Like I said, the food is tremendous. The atmosphere is delightful, and you can't go wrong when you go to AJ's. EatAJ's.com. Burgers, beef, and beer. That was the worst pitch I've done. I apologize, Adam. I'll do better next time. I was distracted by what was on the screen. I shouldn't have done that. And Jay has warned me before I shouldn't do that generally, but I'm going to go the whole show this time with the screen on. So let me start first. The beginning of the game, Purdue, I think, was down by close to double digits almost right away. They just weren't playing with a bunch of intensity. They were missing shots. The way that this team has started a couple times this season where they've just started like they're sluggish, right? Kind of the you would have expected that when they're coming off the 9-day break a little bit ago, but not when you're coming off of a cruise victory. But they didn't start well. But when they got going, when Purdue got cooking today, they were an absolute force. And what you saw from Purdue is you saw a little bit of everything, but the magic formula of what has gotten this team to easy victories came into play today. But the end of the game kept the game a little closer than we all wanted to. And what's that formula? That formula is spreading around the wealth. When you have 5 or 6 guys in double figures, I think Purdue had 5 and another one near double figures. I'm not positive about that. I haven't looked at the box score in depth yet. But also, one thing that was really, really good to see is Loyer got a little bit of warm in this one. He found some momentum. He started hitting some shots, and it put some distance between Purdue and Wisconsin in the process. On top of that, Braden Smith is now the sole owner of the all-time assist record for the Big Ten. He passed Cassius Winston with a pass to Oscar Clough, and Oscar Clough received it and was fouled. I think he made the free throw, but I'm not positive. Before that, the one that tied him was a pass to Benter, and Benter, I think, had a little, if I remember correctly, he put the ball on the floor once or twice, had a little teardrop from about 14 feet. So, but Smith was on a great pace. I think he had 6 assists in the first half. Purdue was doing everything they wanted to towards the end of the first half, but then they really hit their rhythm in that early second half and just started beating up on Wisconsin. I think the deficit got as high as nearly 30. I don't think they extended all the way to 30. And then Purdue tightened up, and there was a period of time where Purdue just wouldn't rebound. Wisconsin beat Purdue on the glass today, which is never good. But the way they were doing it was they were just being pesky, and Purdue wasn't holding the ball high Like fundamentally, Purdue can change that. One great example of that, I think Omer Meyer had a rebound on the right-hand side and with 7 minutes left. And he turned around, he brought the ball down to the equivalent of his belt buckle, even though there are no belt buckles. And right away, the ball was knocked away by the Wisconsin defender. Another thing you guys might have also been annoyed by, because I was, is Wisconsin's Boyd. This is another story for me. I was watching his dumb face. I'm like, Wisconsin needs a guy like that every year. Of course, they're going to have their goons. They always do. But on top of that, they had this guy named Boyd. And he was just unlikable. I don't know how else to say it. Just kind of getting the crowd into it when there's nothing happening. Just unlikable. He wasn't as bad as some earlier Wisconsin guys that have been something that you don't even you get piss mad watching him. It wasn't like that, but he's just annoying. And but he had a really good game though, and he kept Wisconsin in it as Purdue did a good job holding a bunch of Wisconsin guys in check. Let's see, Blackwell, I think, leads Wisconsin in scoring and is one of the best scorers in the Big Ten this year, and he was held to 9. So really good defense. That's a story that I think Purdue can hang their hat on. But Nick Boyd had 24 points. Nolan Winter had 18 points, but interesting enough, he looked beat tired to me. Not only when he was shooting his free throws, he had one that he almost airballed a free throw, and he's a pretty good free throw shooter, I think, generally. But you could see in his eyes, he looked like he was tired. I don't know if he was sick or if he was just sick of having to deal with TKR. TKR was a handful for all of Wisconsin's bigs. Did a really good job, not only creating space, but fighting for the ball before the possession. It was too deep into the shot clock. TKR finishes with 11 points. He's one of those guys with double digits. It was just 5, and then they had 2 more. I'll go through all of them. Trakoff and Wren finished with 11 points and had added. That's amazing. Only had 5 boards, but he had a couple really key plays where he was scratching and clawing for rebounds. One of them in specific was where Purdue and Wisconsin, the game got really grimy for a couple minutes, and Purdue was on that great run, and the ball was kind of getting knocked down and knocked up, and Wisconsin kept coming and smacking it around. And Trey Kaufman ended up with the ball, and he was sitting on his butt near the baseline, called the timeout. Painter loved that play. If you watch that on TV, you could see how into it. Painter loved the grittiness of the Purdue team altogether. Everybody's getting involved, trying to get every loose ball, every 50-50 ball. I used to always say, when I was coaching high school kids, I always say, win every 50-50 ball, right? There's no excuse but to win 50-50 balls. So TKR only finished with 5 boards, but his intensity is something that's palpable, and it's it really it makes a big difference. And speaking of things that make a big difference, Purdue's defensive intensity really turned up early in that second half, late in the first half, and it was the form of passing lane defense. Purdue did a great job getting in the way of Wisconsin's offense and got a lot of their steals that way. Let me see. C.J. Cox led all Boilermakers with 3 steals. Can't believe Smith only gets credit for 1 steal. I swear he had 2 passing lane steals. Oscar Clough had a big one that started off kind of a medium pace fast break. And speaking of Clough, he had 12 points, added 11 boards and 2 assists, played a very, very good game, and pretty good at just plodding along consistently, dealing with the annoyance of the way Wisconsin plays the game. And like I've always said, Wisconsin, it's a philosophy that's really generational. They come in and they try to lock guys up, grab their arms, do things that make it hard for the officials to see. And then a lot of times you'll try to come loose from that being grabbed and you get the whistle. One specific time I can think of was Blackwell was on a curl on an out-of-bounds play, and I think Jakari Harris was in the game. Blackwell locked up with Harris like an offensive lineman, literally grabbed him. Harris tries to twist away from it. Blackwell flops. Harris gets the whistle. Just stuff like that was annoying tonight. Typical Big Ten officiating. At least 3 charges were missed on Wisconsin, and Purdue was able to just cruise in spite of that. It's one of those things where when you have a good lead, a 10, 12, 15-point lead, you're in better position for the poor officiating on either side to make a difference in the outcome, and Purdue did that. They The thing that's egregious, the thing that's the worst when I look at the stats, of course, is Purdue loses the rebound battle overall just by 2. But in the closing minutes, I bet they were out-rebounded by 30 or 40%. It felt pretty bad in that, last 5-6 minutes? So that's not great. C.J. Cox finishes with 14 points. He went 3 for 8 from deep. Missed a couple early where he was wide open. Purdue was running their offense, getting what they wanted to, and Purdue was still missing threes. That was when Purdue was really, really cold, really frigid early. He also adds 3 boards and assist and 3 steals. Like I said, Braden Smith, he gets 14 points. He adds 12 assists, so he doubles 6 and 6 in the first half and the second half, adds 4 boards. And an interesting side note on this one was, as he was breaking that record, you had a Wisconsin person jawing at him, and it got under Smith's skin, which you can look at this 2 ways. 1, he's got the wherewithal to do everything, or 2, he's not focused in enough on what's happening on the court because he was jawing with a fan. I think he said goodbye or good night to the fan at that point, because I think Purdue was up one of their largest leads of the game, and Wisconsin still made it interesting without even getting the ball or getting the game to the point where you thought Purdue would lose. I haven't talked to any other Purdue fans yet. I will talk to you guys in a second, but I didn't feel like Purdue would lose, but I was like, this is way too interesting, way more interesting than it should be. Fletch Loyer, like I said, played a great game, 20 points, still only 40% from deep, but he was very, very good in the second half. He had a streak where he was absolutely he was shooting the ball like Fletch Loyer. So it was good to see him come out of those doldrums. A lot of the naysayers out there are going to hopefully get off his back a little bit. Fletch had 20 points, along with that 5 boards, just like TKR, and 3 assists. But he was doing a good job frustrating Wisconsin. He was good on defense, solid on defense. On top of that, Daniel Jacobson had 7 points, added just 3 boards. Omer Meyer had 3 points on, a free throw? Yeah. Nope, just 3-pointer. He had that 1 3-pointer. And then Jakari Harris had 6, and Benter finishes with just 2. Jakari Harris, the thing I like about the way Harris is playing specifically is he's looking for a shot. He comes in right away. It's tough to come in cold and hit shots, but if he gets an open look, he takes it. Purdue did not shoot 3-pointer particularly well, 37%. Didn't shoot from the field all that well, 46%. And free throw shooting, I always say you got to 72, 73% of your free throws. They didn't do that well either. 68% from the free throw line, and Wisconsin got 7 more free throws and hit them, 81% from the free throw line. And yet, Purdue wins by 16 and improves to, I think it's 13-1. I'm almost positive. Yeah, 13-1. Now it updates. 13-1. Next up, Purdue play was Washington in Mackey Arena on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. So not much of a break, and it'll be good to get back at Mackey. But the students will not yet be in full force. So if you've got tickets to that one, go and be loud and pretend to be a member of the paint crew. A lot of you guys are here. Appreciate you coming in after the game. Zach Welch is first. He talks about the record-breaking night right away that Smith had. Doc Kevin says, boiler up. AirTech says Braden Smith is special. And he really is. I think it's something we might, I don't want to say take for granted, but his command on the game is incredible. And we got to see that tonight. 223. There's got to be a shorter way than that. All those numbers says burgers, beef, and beer right on AJ's. Zach Welch says lots of Purdue chants coming from on the broadcast. Love to see Boiler Nation representing some of the Big's hardest environments. Yeah, and they chanted Braden Smith when he got the record. That was a pretty cool moment. On TV, at least, it sounded like a Purdue crowd. Flat out. And I didn't really notice that early in the season or early in the night. It didn't feel like, it wasn't like that Michigan game 2 years ago, where it was just a Purdue dominant crowd. And I'm sure Wisconsin wouldn't allow that. But Purdue fans who made the trip really made themselves very, very easily heard. Karen Grulock, the president and founder of the Fletch Loyer fan club, says, Fletcher, enough said. Yes, right on. And staying the course with Fletch makes a lot of sense. Like I said, there's a lot of data here. And this is more of a Fletch Loyer game than what we've seen recently. So good to see. Floppy Days podcast says, it's not easy to win in Madison. Purdue's done it more than anyone. And specifically, Matt Painter is really, really good in Madison, really good in the Kohl Center. I'm sure that frustrates Wisconsin fans. Wisconsin always plays pretty well at Mackey too, so not quite as well as Purdue does in Kohl Center. Steve Azzano says, good to see B. Dowd. Good to see the respect given to Braden and the contingent of Purdue fans there. Right on. Continues, says, it was funny seeing Painter yell at Braden to not foul once he got the three. That was a good moment, and Braden was very frustrated coming off that charge that was called a block. There were two in a row. One was on Blackwell where he put his shoulder down into, I think it was Cox. And they called it a block. And then like 15 seconds, 20 seconds left in game time, or 20 seconds later in game time, Braden Smith was very set for a charge that wasn't called. And Smith was mad. So Smith was on one thing in his bag on his offensive game. His fadeaway looked awesome, but also frustrated today with a lot of things. It wasn't just the officials, it was the fans. So, but yeah, he's a special guy. I didn't mean that sarcastic at all. It sounded like it though. M3 Adjuster Mark says, boiler up, game just ended. Who was that that was hating on Fletch? I bet some of them will take credit here. But there are many people here hating on Fletch. So yeah, doesn't make much sense. Cruder Schmidt says, boiler up, way to go, Smith. Love the defensive intensity, basically from the 10-minute mark in the first half run, or from the first half on. Whiskey tastes good today. Pat Gottschall agreed. What am I drinking today? I am drinking my Redemption Rye again. I'm kind of nursing that bottle because I've got a 4-bottle rotation, so maybe you're enjoying a rye. I don't know. This is a rum cask finished rye, which is pretty decent. Let's see. Zach Welch says Braden Smith is on a mission in 2026. And that's a reference to all the Purdue football players that have said they're staying. I almost did a podcast yesterday just reacting positively to the players that are staying. It's such a good thing for anyone to decide to stay in this day and age. If you haven't seen the stat, 34% of all college football players have entered the portal. 4,500 college football players have entered the portal at this point. So Purdue has, I think, 15 or 16 that are in the portal, I think, right now. A couple have already backed out, which is awesome to see. But any of these guys who talked about being on mission for the football program, that's a real positive for me. So got an interesting discussion today with some Purdue fans saying, this team's awful. You don't need these guys. But the idea of rebuilding year after year, putting a new 55 to 60 players out on the field, so including your recruits, is a really bad way to run a program. So I'm really excited about the guys that are deciding to stay. Still haven't heard from Charles Correa officially. He's one of the guys that is a player that I think is imperative to keep in black and gold, so I hope he stays. Really like Charles Correa. His upside's huge, and he's been great for Purdue already. I am Saluki, says great road win. Right on, agreed. Ron Gable, how are you, Ron? Says, good to hear plenty of Boilers in the house at Madison making their presence known. Andy in Colorado says, boiler up. The Crimson Permanent Assurance says, just tuned in. Man, I hate it when I hear Kelly Pfeiffer is going to be one of our officials. He sucks. Yeah, he's rough. This crew, yeah, I don't know. I wish we didn't know any officials' names. Blake Vidmer says, did not like how we relaxed after Braden got the record and went up 25. Don't relax, stay focused, but I guess I'll forgive them for how they played for most of the game. Yeah, and if I told you, Blake, and I agree completely, by the way, but if I told you Purdue goes to the Kohl Center and they win by 16 points, I think you'd say, yeah, take it. Absolutely. But you didn't know they were up by almost 30, and they were in such a good rhythm with 10, 11 minutes left, and then they just kind of backed their way out of the game. This team, this is kind of, if this team has an Achilles heel, it's letting down their guard, right? And I wish they didn't do it. So a lot of you guys have called it playing down to your competition. It's kind of the same thing. Braden Smith kind of admitted it this week on a podcast. He said when they were coming in the Auburn game, he saw that what Bruce Pearl had said about Purdue getting bitch slapped by Auburn the previous year. And he said it got all of their attention. and they saw the importance of really coming out and making a statement. And so what that tells you, I think, is some games this team is just not, I don't want to say they're not locked in, but it's kind of true. They're not locked in when the ball tips, right? So I think it's bothersome. So I'm with you. Denver Graham says, just here for the afterglow, right on. Greg McManus says, hey, that was fun. I despise Wisconsin, so especially enjoyable. I'm with you. I really have a special low opinion of Wisconsin. Just do. Seth Harder says, horrible game for the Loyer haters. Dude was a killer. Right on. I am Saluki says, lots of Purdue fans in attendance for support for the Boilers. Blake Vidmer, overall, good team win. Didn't feel like we executed the defensive scouting report very well in the first half. I agree. The first 12, 13 minutes were just awful defensively. And then something clicked and Purdue started playing defense. I agree. And they said, but got better coming out of the half. Right on. Michael JB says, glad to hear the crowd chanting Braden when he broke the record. That was very cool. Andy Buck says, Boyd is soft. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. And he tripped late in the game on nothing, on his own foot. And he looked up at, I think it was Cox who was on him at that point, and kind of acted like Cox had done something and Cox had not tripped him. He was just kind of dancing around trying to create space. And then Wisconsin blew a timeout. Tom Wichlinski says, 5 guys in double figures. If they would have hit some of those open threes, Boilers would have won by 30. That first 5 minutes of the second half was a sledgehammer. It was absolutely a sledgehammer. It was so much fun to watch. And those are the games that you I love a good ass kicking. Not to me personally, but I love watching Purdue do it. Hand one out. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I could deal with those every game. My wife was let down that Painter didn't get to clear the bench. So Paint and Boilers. Mrs. Boiler Dowd she wants to see the young guys playing. So yeah. Let's see. I'm Saluki says, boy is a douche. No argument. Tom Wichlinski says, we already say that? Yeah, I already said that. This thing's jumping around on me. Mohill93 says, B. Dowd caught the Boilermakers on his ad reads, started real strong, but lost focus towards the end, but got the job done in the end. Yeah, I really had to bear down. I had to give a 110%. I got to thank my teammates, though, for making it all happen. Yeah, no kidding. Good stuff. You're right. I did. I need to focus. I need to stay focused. Just like our Boilermakers. I was a microcosm of our Boilermakers at that moment because I lost focus. So Jack-O-Lantern22 says, man, the retro BS hoodie. Yeah, right on. Yeah, that's right, Jay. This was a J Money only gift. Like he did this one all by himself, if I remember correctly. No, we worked together on this one. It was a good one though. This is a good one. It's a classic. I dropped some food on it tonight, Jay, to celebrate wearing it, which makes me mad because I had worn it for like an hour and a half, and I was so happy to eat what I was for dinner that I got a little something on it. So yes, it's a good one. Boiler Fool says, any road win in Big Ten is good, and that's absolute truth. Even one where it feels like Purdue lets their guard down for a minute, but especially when we win by 16 in Wisconsin. Come on. Cameron Riggs says, why did the commentators keep talking about how Madison was such a house of horrors for Purdue? It's weird because I think Benetti was one of the guys and Jackson was the other, Jim Jackson. Jim Jackson's really bad at his job. Benetti is really good at his job. And I don't know if they hadn't there was a lot of false narratives, I thought, happening between both of them. And then they got enamored with the idea of the Oklahoma Sooners, how they came with their name and how the Badgers came up with their... Yeah. No, Purdue's pretty damn good in Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin fans would say that. If you're here, sound off, Wisconsin fan. MSP says, I think the record-tying assist was actually Jakari's made 3, chance for a 4-point play. Wow, we've got controversy happening right here. Right here on the post-game Boiled Sports wrap controversy on which assist was actually Smith's record breaker. Maybe I'm wrong. Very possible that I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, but very possible that it was a different play. Yeah, Painter does have a good record at the Kohl Center. I'm going to go with Freegee on this. I'm going to go with Freegee. I don't think that's correct because I don't think it'd be Froge. Says Mike is great. Thank you. Purdue took their soul at 51-41. Yeah, there's the marker where the game was close, and then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, wow, Purdue scored some points. They did the same thing in the first half because they were way off their pace of getting to 80 points. Then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, they got 43 points. So that's one thing that Michael Henry from Boiled Sports talks about. His favorite thing about this team is how flammable they are. At times they'll catch fire and you don't even realize what they've done. And all of a sudden they've just they've just gone on a tear. He's right. I'm going to skip down a little bit. Jerry, oh boy, this thing is jumping on me. Sorry. See if I can find Jerry Huff's comment now. Let's see. Jerry Huff said, great win. Defense early in the second half was stellar. Let's see, I'm going to skip back. Sorry to some of you guys who are second commenting, but Joe Inslee says 40% from the three is elite. Also, Fletch game drive is severely underrated. Dude is going to be a beast in 20 years or in someone's rec league. My opinion on your post or your comment is my opinion on the whole thing is way different. Number one, I think Purdue getting up around 42%, I think that's more like what I expect when they're really knocking down shots, first thing. 40% for Fletch is decent, but I think Fletch is going to go into coaching. That's my hot take. I've been talking about this for a while, so it's nothing new. But I think Fletch is going to be Purdue's next coach. That's one of my theories, a thesis, that Fletch will be Purdue's next coach. But I also think, part of me thinks Painter could retire early. I've talked about that before, so good comment. Greg Manis says, he's talking to somebody else. I'm going to go back. Marshall Briggs says, love seeing the fight from the boys tonight. Boiler up. Rob Mack says, we only somehow shot 19 free throws to their 26. It's pretty criminal. And that's the thing about the way the game's officiated bothers me so much. It annoys the hell out of me. If Wisconsin was playing a real beautiful brand of basketball where they allowed guys to move and it was a fluid brand and that sort of thing, it would make sense, but it doesn't make any sense, and you can't make sense of it. I don't know why I get mad about it every year. Matt Keller says, boy, Purdue got lazy after he got the assist. Braden is definitely on a mission right on. Let's see. Big Ten, Marshall says, Big Ten Network just posted a video with Izzo congratulating Braden. That's really, really cool. And you've seen Winston already did that coming up to the game. That's very cool. Alex Bear says, road wins in the Big Ten are great. All road wins in the Big Ten are great. One of my favorite Brian Newbert quotes is about how Big Ten championships are won. I don't think Kohl Center's won them because it's a game that you should get up for because it's a tough place to play, and Wisconsin's generally good. But he says something along the lines that Big Ten championships are won on Tuesday nights in Piscataway. And he's right. Winning at the places where you're not very motivated, at a late night game when there's a blizzard outside versus Minnesota, right? That's when you win a Big Ten championship. I think he's right. Metal Scholar says, someone on Wisconsin staff should tell Greg Gard that wearing a suit does not make his face less punchable. In fact, his face becomes more punchable every season. He looks like, and I conveyed this to Jay in a sidebar conversation and the Boiled Sports boys, like either a balloon that's been tourniqueted and it's about to explode, or a milkshake that's frothy and it's overflowing the brim. And Jay thinks he looks like a car salesman who's a little bit upset with his team for not meeting their monthly numbers. And I think all of these are good assessments. So Need to Be in Verse says, evening boiler down, good win. 3 straight at Mackey will be nice. Yeah, let's hope so. So let's see. Jackson Clark says, I know this is a hoops recap, but what's your thoughts on the football transfers and visits? I have 0 until proven otherwise on the field. I don't have much excitement right now about the transfer visits. I want to see when everybody's signed and the deals are done, how this team looks. I will say that I'm upset, and I think I said this to you guys. If I didn't already, I apologize. But I'm upset that both Harkless and D'Amico Kennedy are in the portal. Those are 2 guys that I really wanted to see back. So I think starting in the trench is always good. And also Purdue lost... what's his name? Hank, son of a gun, offensive lineman, who came from UNLV. I want Purdue to really button down things in the trenches. That's the first thing. So, but the thing I'm most bothered with more than anything, obviously offensive woes are a problem. And the fact that, there was no talk about, replacing Henson, but you can like Ryan Brown or you can not. He was the worst quarterback in the Big Ten according to passing numbers. And they need to have competition. They need to have a tough competition at quarterback. He should not be given the reins without any competition. And to have a real competition, you need to bring in a vet that's going to push him. And I haven't heard anything about Purdue really entertaining that. That's a shame. Purdue does not have... They have so many deficiencies at wide receiver, so many deficiencies. Now they got running back holes they need to fill. Defensive back is rough now. Quarterback, I think they need another quarterback, if not two. And then the lines both ways, man. Linebacker looks rough again. CJ Nunnally is trying to get that year of eligibility. Yeah, I think we also I'm going to try to not get any more judgmental than I already have because it gets me angry, honestly, until everybody's signed. So let's see. Jinman says he's last in the group. That's funny. BTFU. Jay Westfall says, wearing the Pete swinging the hammer old gold t-shirt for the win. Okay, you got to do it every game from now on. Hammer down. Joe Hensley says, handsome hour basketball beat for the new year. I hope so. I would love to see it. I know it's not going to happen with me this week. I had, sadly, death in my family 2 days ago, and I'm going to a funeral on Wednesday, and I'm going to be out of town for work right before that, so I can't do any of that this week. So, I put the call out there in the ether for J Money and Company to have a handsome hour. So we'll see. It's a basketball beat at this point. So you're right. Jarvizda says guard looks like a used car salesman who has his monthly quota. Yes. See, we're on the same page. Pat Gottschall says, my count tonight evens up Paint's record at Wisconsin 8-8. That's really solid. That's really, really good. To be 8-8 at that place, which so many coaches never could figure out how to win, it's pretty impressive. Let's see. Jay Fosty says, TNP boiler down. I hate this when I get totally stumped by something you guys say, but TNP to you. I don't know what that means, but that's awesome. Sorry. I apologize. It's on my side. Always on my side. Joe Enza says, sorry for your loss, beat down. Thanks. It's one of those things, and I could get philosophical here about, number one, she believed in Christ. So I have great peace in there. But the other thing is, she had been ill. It's my sister-in-law's mom. I'd known her since 1994. She was my wife's potluck roommate at Purdue. And she had struggled. She had had a stroke, and she was put on hospice care about 2 months ago, and she died just a couple days ago. But just a great woman. Great woman. I'm super sad. I'm sad for my sister-in-law. Sad for her brother and their family and her dad. But just a great woman, great legacy, woman of faith. Everybody has to deal with people passing away. And thank you though. Appreciate the sentiment. Appreciate the prayers, guys. So Greg Menace says we'll be thinking of our family. Thank you, sir. And that's it. I'm going to leave on that because I shouldn't have gotten that upset. But I do appreciate everybody being here. Purdue is 13-1. Next up, like I said, play University of Washington on Wednesday. And that's a game that Mrs. Boiler Dowd and I had tickets to and can't go because of the funeral. So, hope you have a great evening. Don't forget how important people are, and don't take them for granted. God bless you. Hammer down. Give them a hug and kiss, and talk to you soon. We'll see you.